Hello, D-Rock here. Welcome to the channel. In 1905, gold was discovered in this part of the Mojave Desert. This in turn led to a boom, attracting almost 2,000 people at its peak to live in this area. A literal tent city arose in the desert. However, the boom wouldn't last long, and by 1910, this place would be all but abandoned, empty, once again. But the history goes deeper than that. You see, there are artifacts left here from mining operations from 200 years earlier by the Spanish. How long were the Spanish in this area? That history appears to be lost. Even deeper is the presence of the Paiute and the Ancestral Puebloan, their history going back even further. And it's told sporadically with rock art around the area. A fascinating place this is. So please join me as I head out to Goldb to see what's out there. Buenos dias. It is a cold, windy day out here in the Mojave Desert. And where I'm at is the site of what was once a bustling community. This is Goldb, the Goldb Town site, as a matter of fact. And right there is Goldb Peak. So obviously, this place had up to 2,000 people living out here, mainly in tents. There was at one point a post office. Gold was discovered here in 1905, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But the boom, attracted a bunch of people, and it only lasted for a few years, and then it went bust. And from what I understand, by 1910, this place was empty again. So I think there might have been a few people that stayed behind, but the post office was gone. The vast majority of people were gone, and that was the end of the Goldb Town. However, history goes back a lot farther than that here. As a matter of fact, it goes back to prehistoric times, obviously. There was probably quite a few different cultures that lived in this area. But there's a, for lack of a better word, an artifact left behind here at Goldb that is pretty significant from a certain time period. And the indigenous people didn't make it, and the people that arrived here for the gold boom in the early 20th century didn't make it. It is an arrastra. It was made by the Spanish. The Spanish were out here, I think, in the 1700s. I'm not exactly sure when, but they had obviously had mining operations, because that's what an arrastra is. It's basically a carved out stone that more stone is used to break up ore. When we go find it, I'll explain that a little bit more. But that's out here. As a matter of fact, I think there's more than one out here. I've only known where one is, and from what I understand, there's up to 4. But the locations of those is not disclosed. So this area has a pretty interesting history, a deep history. And at one point, there was, like I said, a lot of people living out here. And as you can see now, yeah, there's nothing. Maybe your wayward camper when the weather cools, because in the summertime out here, it's absolutely brutal. So we're out here today. We're going to go visit the arrastra, but we're also going to look around because this place is covered in artifacts. Artifacts from the boom in the early 20th century, I don't think we'll find anything from the 1700s from the Spanish other than an arrastra. And there's lots of prehistoric evidence, not here per se, but in the general area, such as rock art and stuff like that. So history definitely is deep here. That being said, we're going to start walking around and having a look. So there's still lots of evidence from, you know, can dumps all over the place. And there's large, like, pieces of machinery and stuff still around from the occupation of this area back in the early 20th century. So we're going to walk around, like I mentioned, have a look at things, see what we come across. Oh, I thought that was a snake for a second. I looked over here and saw this sitting here. It's like, oh man, it's too cold. Snakes are not out. This is good. As you would suspect, there are lots of abandoned mines out here that I haven't decided to explore. I'm a little cautious in that aspect. There's part of me that does want to, but the part of me that doesn't want to usually wins, and I don't go in them. But there's quite a few in the area as well, shafts leading into the actual hill itself. Yeah, it's crazy, man. There's the foundations of something right here. Like railroad ties sticking out there, and there's cuts going up the side of the hill. So this was part of the operation here. There's probably a mine shaft right around here. Here's the shaft. Oh wow, well, they've got it blocked off, which is good because I'm not going to go any farther anyway, even if that was here. Oh, lots of shafts going into the hill. Oh, here's another one. There's a gate in there too. Some of them don't have gates, and they're everywhere out here. Big old cairn here. And there's another one there. I wonder what these are signifying. There's some flat spots right in this area, so I bet there was some habitation in this area. We'll have a look. Oh yeah. Most of the structures here were canvas tents. People lived out of canvas tents. So maybe operations weren't in the middle of summer. Maybe they were. Maybe people came back and forth. I'm not sure, but I can't imagine working out here in July and August. It's literally hell on earth because of the temperatures. So I don't know. But I'm finding, you know, artifacts here and there, cans and stuff like that. It's really, really interesting. Ooh. What do we got here? Subterranean. Ooh, that's a trip. this isn't cool. Yeah, so this is definitely cool. Man. Talk about a good place to hang out, huh? This would have been cool in the summer and nice in the winter. Don't really see anything in here though, as far as artifacts. So just in front of, for lack of a better term, cave there. There's the remnants of something here. So maybe someone had, well, some structure here in front of this. Fascinating. Huh. Well, that's interesting. That doesn't belong there. That's a piece of cut stone. Why is it right there? That was put there. Now that I'm sitting up here, how interesting. There's more cut stone here at the base of this. That's got interesting. More placed stones, obviously cut. Interesting. Well, I'm not sure what the cut stone significance is, but yeah, I don't know. Found it. So here is the arrastra. Check that out. So this is interesting. There's a can dump here as well. This supposedly was made by the Spanish. There's a stone right here that's real smooth. So this might have been a stone that fit in there, and the purpose of this was ore would be placed in here, and then let's just say that stone was placed on top of the ore. It was then dragged around, crushing the ore by an animal like a donkey or a horse or something, or people. I think there was a shaft coming from the center here for support. Yeah, that's got to be the grinding stone right there. It's just so smooth. You can see how it's been ground. That's how fascinating. So this apparently dates back to the Spanish 1700s, from what I've researched anyway. Huh. Back here behind the arrastra, man, look at this can dump. Oh my God. Look at that. Whoa. Too bad these are so old. I can't get like a name off any of them. Man. So this obviously was, oh, look at this. This thing's drilled in here. Huh. Well, this is one of those instances where you certainly wish the walls could talk, because there'd probably be some really interesting stories here. And there's stacked rocks here. Is that fire, or is that mineral. I'm not sure. There's charcoal in here, so there's definitely fires going on here. Yeah. There's all kinds of like artifacts from turn of the century here. Some old glass. Fascinating spot. And this can dump, of course. Man. Believe it or not, this is historical as well. And then of course the arrastra. That's just incredible. Wow. Well, let's take a look at it from above. So, and there's also a spring just like right over the rocks there. So there was, I would think, an availability of water if that spring even produced year-round. However, it's something to consider because apparently there's 4 known arrastras in the area. That could be anywhere. That's about as specific as it gets. So I want to find the other arrastras. However, I don't think that's common knowledge. So I'm simply presuming if there's more of these, then they may need to be near a water source and possibly something that could offer some type of shelter. So when I come back for another episode to try and find the arrastras, the other ones, I might have to take that into consideration. So this is interesting. This is chert or flint. Jasper's all kinds of the same thing, but this is lithic debris. It's the residuals from stone tool making. So that's in the area as well. No doubt, because it's close to a spring, and the arrastra is just right over here. So, yeah, lots of different people hanging out in this area. This looks like an old cairn here, half buried. Yeah, interesting indeed. More cans. This looks like a good spot. There's junk in there. More cans. Huh. I'm sure this area was utilized for its shelter-like properties. Oh yeah, look at that. It's full. Lithic material from someone sitting in here napping stone. Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, makes sense now. This is a spring. That's why there's green things growing here. Very dry. You might have to dig down, or maybe it's just a seasonal spring. Without explain why there's lithic material. People sat in here and worked on stone tools. There would be water. Yeah, okay, it all makes sense now. So I was curious if that spring would be year-round. Doesn't appear to be so. Interesting. Also interesting. And there's some burnt wood here. So, ooh, check that out. Remnants of an old corral. Some ranching was done out here, I think in the 30s. Well, maybe it was, who knows. But obviously this here is near the spring. So the spring's back over there. Been used to hold water. Interesting area. Bed springs out here. Little stove. Well, here's what's left of what looks like to be an old flatbed. I wouldn't go near this thing if it was warm out here. It's probably a rattlesnake nest, but check this out. Wow. Not much of it left. Fascinating place indeed. People have been here off and on for a long time. That's going to be a wrap. Yeah, we found artifacts from all kinds of time periods. Turn of the century, mid-century, 1700s. And lithic material from prehistoric times. It's fascinating. There you have it. Yeah, well, what else is out there? Lots more content on the way. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It is free. It helps the channel tremendously. We will see you next time. D-Rock out. Adios.